Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Day in the Parks, the series where I just sort of wander around these Minecraft recreations of all these Disney parks around the world and talk about anything Disney related, news or rumors or just topics on my mind. Today, I wanted to talk about a topic that I've been thinking about for a while, both because I think my channel sort of revolves around the idea, and also because when I got the Oculus Rift a couple of years ago, it just sort of was something that I started thinking about more and more, and that is the topic of virtual tourism. The idea of, virtually touring to some place around the world without actually being there. And it's so weird to me because I feel like that concept, virtual tourism, sounds like something out of the future, yet at the same time, we're doing it right now, right this very second. I'm in a virtual recreation of the Animal Kingdom on MC Magic, or Palace Network as it is now called, and I'm visiting this place that I visited in real life, and I'm virtually touring this area. Virtual tourism is real. It's going on right now. Now, clearly, this is not the same experience as... Oh, look at that. We got Avatar Land in the work. This isn't the same experience as going to the actual Animal Kingdom, yet... It does have its own offerings that, the real thing can't match, or the real thing does better. And the more I thought about this concept, virtual tourism as a whole, I realized there are going to be some things in which virtual tourism might actually end up surpassing real tourism. There are going to be certain things in which virtual tourism just fundamentally cannot surpass regular tourism, and there's going to be a lot in between, and it makes me think about what the future of that means. And I'm coming into this not with... I don't have a very strong game plan about how I'm going to approach this topic, because I feel like there's so many different branches that cover so many different things, but we're going to walk over to Expedition Everest while we think about this. First of all, I think the obvious answer when it comes to virtual tourism, or the obvious element, is virtual reality, right? You've got the Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive, you've got PlayStation VR now, and VR is becoming a major thing, and that's something that you can't ignore, and it does have an effect on virtually exploring a space that doesn't exist in real life, or is a recreation of something that exists in real life. I've played Minecraft, the Oculus Rift version of Minecraft, and let me tell you, it gives you a completely different perspective of a game that I feel like many of us have known for years and years now. Perspective both figuratively and literally. The biggest thing being it gives you realistic perspective. I look at this and I'm just looking at a monitor right now, and I'm just looking at a tree, and my brain's putting together the idea that this is supposed to be a tall tree, but when you're in the virtual reality, this is a tall tree. You're looking up physically to see this tree, and that does really sell an effect that you don't get from just looking at a monitor. And so I think the growth of VR as a whole is a big part of sort of the growth of this idea of virtual tourism. Although you now have sandbox games like this, like Minecraft, in which a bunch of very talented people can recreate these places. So I guess I can start by talking about, what virtual tourism can offer regular tourism, what virtual tourism then cannot match in regular tourism, and maybe what virtual tourism could do that regular tourism can't. And so to start off with what I think works well together, they sort of supplement each other, is knowledge, right? The great example that I like to use when I talk about MC Magic to people who aren't aware about not only the servers, but on top of that, just the concept of recreating this stuff in Minecraft, is the Polynesian Resort. It's a resort I've known for many, many years, but it's a resort I've never actually been to, at least as an adult. When I was a kid, I think we had breakfast at Ohana once, and that was cool and everything, but I don't remember it. I was just a little kid. As an adult, I've never really been to the resort, and so, like many resorts, it could kind of be confusing if you haven't been there. Yet, because I have explored it multiple times here on Palace Network, I knew exactly where the things I needed to get to were from that experience. We had a reservation for lunch. I think it was at Kona or Boma. I always confuse which one's Polynesian and which one's animal. I think Boma's the Animal Kingdom and Kona is the Polynesian. But I knew how to get to that restaurant solely because I had found it in Minecraft before. And so this idea of using virtual tourism as a supplementary like learning tool for something that could be extremely intimidating, like a Disney World trip, I think is a really fantastic idea. I know people who are going to Disney on our trip in January who haven't been since they were little kids. And so all of this is very overwhelming to them. There's a lot to know. And, I think anybody who's a seasoned Disney veteran would tell you that, like, you just can't fully wing a Disney trip. You kind of have to know what you're doing. Even if you do want to play it by ear, you need to know how to play it by ear. And so I think virtual tourism is going to be a great help for things like that. Or, to step outside of the realm of Disney, just to explore different places virtually so that you can get a feel of which one you would like to spend money on visiting in real life. I think that's going to be extremely helpful in the future. That said, there are plenty of things that virtual tourism will never be able to touch or have above regular tourism. And that is, Disney for me is a fully all-encompassing sensory experience, and I feel like Disney stands out among most places you vacation in this regard, but I think every vacation spot, sort of to some extent, this is true. We have top fives where we talk about the top 5 smells at Disney, or the top 5 sounds, or just feelings, like sensations. And that's the sort of thing that virtual tourism just can't, and probably within our lifetimes won't be able to provide. Maybe one day we'll have like a Star Trek holodeck, but as far as what we've got with virtual reality, all you've got are sights and sounds. And that's great. Look, we're on Expedition Everest right now. This is really exciting. It looks so great and so close to what Expedition Everest actually is. But the fact that I can sit here and talk to you and compose my thoughts, I would never be able to do that on the real Expedition Everest, because there are so many things going on in terms of, your senses, that I would just be totally overwhelmed right now. There'd be the sounds, just the physical sensation of the speed, and virtual reality was never going to be able to give you that. And so when you really think about why you go to a theme park, whether it's Disney or any other theme park, when you put that list together of the reasons why, you'll realize so many of them just can't be recreated by virtual reality. And maybe one day they will, and we'll have a holodeck and it's all of the senses, and that's great. And then they've got to really consider what they're going to do with real tourism. But until now, at least in the long term, there's just something you'll never be able to recreate in something like Minecraft, or even a high definition version of this. I just got Planet Coaster, which is sort of the spiritual successor of Roller Coaster Tycoon. And it's cool because you've already got people recreating Disney. Like, I was able to download a Main Street and a Cinderella's Castle and all that good stuff. Hey, look, they're people. That's not me, though, but that would be me. So, even a high-fidelity game, I guess the point I'm trying to get at, wouldn't be able to recreate these senses. And so there's something that you're just never, ever going to be able to get within our lifetimes. I have to keep adding that part so I don't get proven wrong in 100 years, will be recreated by virtual tourism. So I don't think in that extent regular tourism has to worry about anything. And then there's, I think, a certain element of things that virtual tourism can provide that regular tourism can't, where virtual tourism is actually better. And for one, it's price. Look, here I am. I'm at the Animal Kingdom. If I wanted to do that today in the real world, I would have to buy a flight to Florida. I would have to book a hotel room. I would have to take off of work, probably. I would have to buy a pass to get into the Animal Kingdom. It would be very expensive to visit the Animal Kingdom today versus what I'm doing right now, which is just hopping on the server and exploring it. So price, I think, will always be a better factor, just because you're not traveling. Like, once you throw that element into it, you're not traveling, all of a sudden it's going to be a cheaper thing than regular tourism. On top of that, I think virtual tourism is going to allow us, and I don't think we've seen a lot of this yet, but it's going to allow us to do things that are not physically possible to do in the real world. Now, in terms of something like this, I could just type warp Epcot, and I'll be at Epcot. I'll be at Epcot in the blink of an eye. Can't do that in real life. So there's an element there that makes virtual tourism a little bit better than regular tourism. On top of that, you can go ahead and explore things that just don't exist in real life, but maybe they have at some point. Now, within the context of Disney, I think the example that's got me most excited is that a user over on the Palace Network, Disney Kid 93, has recreated Horizons, one of my favorite Disney rides. It's no longer around, and realistically speaking, it probably never will ever get built again. There will never be another Horizons like that. That Horizons is gone forever, yet thanks to virtual tourism, I can kind of visit that ride again, which is really exciting and cool. So I think, to expand that beyond Disney, think of all of the amazing opportunities we're going to have with virtual tourism in the future. People like to visit Rome, but imagine if you could visit Rome during the height of the Roman Empire. Imagine if you could visit, visit the New York during the, Revolution, or during the Civil War, or during World War II. Imagine visiting these places in a time that we just physically, because we don't have time travel, can't do in real life. That's exciting. And that's the sort of thing where I think it could double up as both being something that regular tourism can't top, but also supplementary to tourism. I think it would be really cool to visit feudal Japan virtually and then go visit real Japan and then sort of mix and match the two and see what they're like and compare and contrast. And imagine how much more that can teach a person about the history of a country or a place. I think that's really exciting. And that, for me, is the most exciting part of it. Because, again, you think about things like the sensory experiences. Here we are at Dinosaur, one of my favorite rides at the Animal Kingdom, and this is a great recreation. So take no offense when I say this, but this is never going to come close to the feeling of being on the actual queue. That's just something that Disney's got locked up because it's a real thing. And so I think that's the direction we need to go in virtual tourism. We need to focus on history and teaching and bringing people to places you just can't physically go. And I haven't done a video on this yet, but I'm going to in the future. But I believe out there exists Minecraft recreations of Disneyland as it was in 1955 when it opened, in the 1970s, throughout the years. So, having been to all these Disney parks now, that's great and everything, and this is cool to relive these experiences, but to have the opportunity to visit the parks in a way that just is impossible to do in the real world through history is exciting. And so I guess those are just my ramblings on, virtual tourism. It's the more I think about VR and how it's growing and what it could become, the more I try and think about its ups and downs. And, I guess another perk to virtual tourism is this channel. This channel wouldn't exist without Minecraft. I don't live close enough to Disney to record the actual place, so I wouldn't be able to make videos like this. So there's perks in that regards too. And, I've heard stories about people who, for one reason or another, have to cancel their Disney trip, or they can't afford to go to Disney, and they've been able to use places like this, these servers, to sort of have a little bit of that magic as best they can. And I think that's the big key here, is that virtual tourism in the future, I think, is going to allow people who might not be lucky enough or might not be fortunate enough to be tourists elsewhere in the world on a regular basis. It'll give them an opportunity to do it to some extent. Even if it isn't 100%, the best way to go about it, it's still better than not going anywhere at all. And so I'm excited for the future of tourism, and virtual tourism. I guess I'm excited for the future of tourism as well. Maybe the next step in virtual tourism is also, using technology to prototype places that can become actual tourist locations. And I'm really mainly, when I say that, thinking of space. Imagine, prototyping a virtual tourism experience in a space station in orbit around Earth, and then using the learnings from an experience like that, from whoever's running it, to better prototype an actual space station in orbit around Earth. And of course, this, I'm hoping, is not outside of our lifetime, but, it might end up being. You never know. I think that just provides a lot of excitement for the things we can do in the future. Anyway, I'm oddly happy with how I've been able to put all of these thoughts together. I was really worried that it was just going to be a total rambling mess, but I feel like there was some pathway there. I would love to hear from you guys about the topic, whether you're in full support of it. I would imagine to some extent you are if you go on servers like this or support servers like this, or maybe you're against it and you think this might hurt tourism at the end of the day and you would like to see it take a step back. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know where you would like to see virtual tourism expand to. You know, I threw the Roman Empire and the American Revolution out there as examples, but history is a very, very rich well of places and times that we could visit. And I would love to hear, where would you like to see, or where would you like to virtually visit? So let me know in the comments below. You can let me know on Twitter. I'm at Rob Plays. I want to thank you all for watching. If you want to see more Disney videos like this, more Disney ramblings, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button. I do 3 a week. Have a great week. Whatever you're doing, make the most of it because it makes it that much better. And I hope to see you all next time on the next Day in the Parks. Bye, everybody.